you've now with Arkona, you've built up a really interesting business, and I'm curious. I want to change gears to get a feel for how you've been building that. And we touched base on a bit about talking podcast, and you're hitting 300 some episodes. Talk to me about that, about the marketing and the sales of that company and how you're getting out there.
Well, absolutely. Well, first of all, I will never start another business.
No.
So turning around a business that has an infrastructure is one set of challenges, and I thought that was the hardest thing I've ever done. Then I had twin girls. That's another set of hardest things that I've ever done. And the other thing I would say, Corey, is building a business from scratch without taking any major outside funding. I mean, it's so hard, dude. And especially in my business model structure, I'll kind of give you the overview, and then you can figure out how you want to dive into this. But so after we sold, and I went into the investment management for like 18 months, understood finance and money. Then I went in and started consulting for call it 4 years, flopping around, Corey. No idea what I wanted to do. I was consulting, truly just trying to help my entrepreneur friends. It was a lot of turnaround, fix up the business. But I found myself spending a disproportionate amount of time explaining how things work so we could get to the important decisions. So it's if you think about a lot of stuff we've been talking about, right? So it's all right, well, my buddy Corey wants to keep working, and he's got to figure out how to roll out this ERP system or buy this company. So then we'd have to be all right, Corey, valuations, here's how this works. Here's how, then we can figure out, should you do what you want to do or not? I don't know, but we have to get to a level set of conversation, topics. So for years I was doing that, just consulting. And you know what I did? I said, first of all, when we sold the business, I was 27. No one was going to believe me in the story that we had. I mean, dude, we were barely making payroll, $250,000 payroll every 2 weeks while we were selling the business, or while we were turning the business around. No line of credit. We were financing our receivables, and the bank was trying to kick us out. My point is, I went through all that by the time I was 27. And so honestly, I was sitting there, I'm I love money, I love business. I have to talk about this stuff to get to the real good conversations. And I was sitting on the beach in Fort Lauderdale with my wife in 2015. And I was like, this podcast thing, what the hell is this? I'm wait a second. All I have to do is ask super smart people to come talk to me for an hour, and they do it for free. This is a no-brainer. That was it, buddy. Truly, it was that was the entire thesis. And I'm super curious. I have a lot of passion, and at that point, it was an unhealthy amount of resentment towards the situation that I've been through.
I went through that as well after a certain business failure, frankly. And it took me a while to work through it, and now super grateful for it. But it was a lot of wasted energy. I'll tell you that.
Dude. I think that the feeling of resentment is my least favorite emotion. Oh my God. I will do anything to avoid resentment. That's why I still am not very good at it. Because I don't like conflict, but I will burst through that conflict in order to, because resentment's worse. So I had that because I felt we had worked so damn hard for almost 2 decades. And then all the advisors made a bunch of money, and then everything that I wanted was dismantled. And I was I felt I got the rug pulled out from underneath me. And I was just this is not, and I did not get rewarded in a proportion that I thought was worth what I went through.
This was you and your father.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily, it was not my dad's fault. I mean, I could definitely argue that I should have been paid more at the sale, but I'm not concerned about that. It was more of every advisor made 6 figures or more off of us, and no one sat us down, and no one cared. Kind of like the whole doctor thing. No one cared as much as we cared, and I learned that the really hard way. And I was naive that I just thought that because I care a lot, and I thought everybody else should care about what everybody else wants the most. And I just got totally taken. I don't know if I would say I got taken advantage of, but it was my naivete that allowed me to be completely out of whack with expectations of what reality really was. And it hurt.
Yeah. No, you know what bit me in the ass was loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
To a degree, blind loyalty, and just not opening my eyes to the fact that not everybody's as loyal as I was.
Well, and amen, Corey. Honestly, man, it's my loyalty combined with naivete that everybody should care as much as I do. Everybody does care as much as I do, and everybody will work as hard as I do, which is where my loyalty came from. Because I'm well, if people are working this hard, I'm going to stick with them through and through. well, I realize that people don't work that hard and they don't care that much, and then I'm just getting screwed. I don't want that to change my outlook on people, so I still go into relationships, but now I go into them or decisions with eyes wide open, knowing like, here's a set of circumstances. Like, out of 20 things that could happen, these 5 would really suck. But I'm willing to take the risk. Like, you know, Corey, like if we went into a business partnership, we do all this stuff, you could turn out to be a crazy person. I hope that doesn't happen, but I'm still willing to go into the situation knowing that is a potential outcome, but then I will be able to see if that's happening. So it's just like this the resentment just came from like, here's another like phrase. I can't remember, it was someone on my podcast, Corey, but happiness lies. Here's reality and here's expectations. The bigger the gap, the more unhappy you're going to be. We want to we want to smush those together and have expectations and reality completely in line, because then you're gonna be happy. And mine were way off during the sale. So all of that said is the fire in my belly that gave me the passion to start the podcast, find the people, get the hustle. I mean, truly, man, it's taken me almost 8 years to build the business I wish I would have been able to find and partner with 10 years ago. So that's the why.
Yeah.
Is like,
how much of your kind of your expectations were connected to youth, connected to not being experienced enough?
Probably less than 5%.
Really?
And here's why I'm going to answer it like that, is because I teach people that are 70 years old this shit and they don't know it. So how can that be true that one person that's 70 and one person that's 25 don't know the same stuff? Can we blame it on youth? Apparently not. I mean, so if old people still don't know this stuff, then what of it was attributed to youth? I was naive, right? Was tied to youth of me thinking everybody had our best interest in mind all the time. Absolutely. Okay. That was related to youth. But like, gotcha. I'm sitting in there. You should see people's face when like I'm sitting there in the middle of like, you know, multi-million-dollar deals, and I'm in a t-shirt in my basement. I'm 36 years old and everybody else is, you know, 55 or 60. And I'm having these conversations about deal structures and value. Like, it has nothing to do with youth. It has to do with a tenacity to learn and like realize that this stuff is that important to learn. But I don't think what I went through is mainly because of youth.